All right, welcome to the show, y'all. We got a lot to get to today. So, in a little bit, Trump brags on Air Force One about starving Cuba to death in just a sick display of what can only be described as pure evil. So, we'll talk about that. We have Trump plotting to rig the election through executive order. So, it's this new sinister plot that he's currently working on. We'll dive into that as well. Later on, we have MAGA weirdos now running around on TV and saying that Democrats are going to ban dogs from America. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. This is how out of ideas they are. This is how policyless they are, is they got nothing to talk about, so they just make some shit up and run with it. So we'll dive into that as well. And then later on, there's this right-wing bishop who has a raging hate boner for AOC. We'll proceed to make fun of his dorky ass. And eyeliner boy, the smoky-eyed sociopath himself, J.D. Vance, is desperately trying to hit AOC and failing miserably. So we'll talk about that as well. You guys know what's up, man. Everybody, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps out so much. You have no idea, and it costs you absolutely nothing. You can also click that bell icon because then you get a notification every time we drop a video. The reason that's important is because YouTube doesn't love political channels because we're controversial. So instead of relying on the algorithm to serve you videos from the channel, if you just click that bell icon, you'll know every single time we drop one. So definitely do that as well. You can also support the show on Patreon or tip with that thanks button on YouTube. Remember, guys, the only reason I ask is because we're real independent media. I've never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. I never will do an ad read. I've never taken money from a billionaire or a PAC or a government or anything like that. We keep the funding mechanism for this show as pure as possible. So, you know, when I'm speaking, I'm giving you the facts and I'm giving you the truth and I'm giving you my opinion, and there's nothing tainting that. So thank you to everybody who does support the show on Patreon or tip with the thanks button on YouTube. You can also support Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack, and also go subscribe to Corn's World on YouTube because we do live Kyle and Corn episodes on Monday nights. There's not going to be one next Monday just because he's on vacation, but we'll be back the week after that. But definitely go sub to Corn's World. And let's get him to 100K, man. Let's get him to 100,000 subscribers because that will make his day. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right in because we got a lot to get to. So let's start with horror stories. ICE horror stories. They're getting worse and worse by the day. It's absolutely disgusting to see. So shout out here to Pablo Manriquez, who's been doing phenomenal work on the ground for Migrant Insider. Listen to this. News. ICE has disappeared Juan Nicholas. Quote, "We don't know where he is," Joaquin Castro tells me. The bronchitic 2-month-old was released from the hospital earlier today, reportedly returned to the ICE concentration camp in Dilley, Texas, and has since vanished. Okay, come to find out, we have learned since then, a deathly sick 2-month-old baby was just deported. I repeat, a deathly sick 2-month-old baby was just deported. I do want to give you more. Staff at the ICE concentration camp in Dilley, Texas, have begun raiding the dormitories of kids and their parents to confiscate and destroy letters from the children. This is in response to the ACE reporting by a ProPublica reporter, Mika Rosenberg. Look at this like precious little baby. These are the supposed undocumented immigrant violent criminals that the Trump regime is going after. The fact of the matter is, these aren't violent criminals. These are good people. These are good people who live in this country. They're just as American as you or I am, and they're being put through hell simply because of, keep it real, the color of their skin. Simply because of the color of their skin, they're being put through hell. So this is disgusting. Now we add a 2-year-old who's deathly sick with bronchitis, who was just in the hospital. This baby was deported. And this is on top of, remember the 4-year-old American citizen with cancer who was deported? That happened, I want to say, like maybe 6 months ago. This is who these people are. This is who they are. And my guess is, if you were to poll this stuff, poll the American people on these specific questions. Say, should a 4-year-old American with cancer get deported? Should a 2-year-old who's deathly ill get deported? Of course they're going to say no. This is what happens when you let the fascists run wild. This is what happens when you let Stephen Miller run wild. This is what it is. All right, how about this one? Scoop, horror in ICE detention. Representative Kelly Morrison forced her way into Minnesota Whipple's facility after being blocked at the gate. What she saw was horrific. So we actually have an interview here, and she lays out some of what she personally saw. Watch this.
It is beneath what all of us should expect in the United States of America. It is, everyone in there is wearing leg shackles. There is minimal food. They're not regular meals. People sleep on the ground without a real blanket. They have those tinfoil kind of fake blankets. People are, when I was in there during one of the visits, during the first visit that I was given entry, I was allowed to speak to two of the people being held. One woman who had just been returned from Texas for reasons that were not clear to anyone, including her. The minute they let me speak to her, she said, they're being cruel. And I introduced myself as a member of Congress. She said, they're being cruel to us. We were freezing last night, sleeping on the concrete floor. We were begging for something, and they gave us nothing. She said, they are not treating us like we are human beings. The next woman I talked to, I asked to speak to her because she was sitting alone in a cell, legs shackled. She looked distraught. I asked to speak to her. They let me. And she said that she and her husband had just been taken that morning. He was in another room in the Whipple detention facility, and they had left their 7-year-old daughter with a friend. And she was frantic because she hadn't been given access to a phone to make sure that her daughter was safe and okay. So this family had been torn apart. She begged me to ask the guards, because we were speaking in Spanish. It was not clear to me that anyone spoke Spanish there. So I was sort of serving as a translator with this one ICE agent. She asked me, are they taking me to Texas this morning, tonight, or not? What's happening? And the guard either couldn't or wouldn't answer. So the basic conditions inside this facility are completely unacceptable. There are no real medical protocols. There are no screens, and they justify this because they say they are not actually a detention facility. They are just a holding facility. So they are moving people through this facility so quickly that often people aren't able to connect with a lawyer, for example. They're being denied basic due process. And they say, well, when they get to Texas, they can talk to a lawyer. Well, if you live in Minnesota and you're delivered to Texas, your lawyer in Minnesota can't practice law in Texas. Like none of it makes any sense. I could go on and on.
This is on purpose. This is what Stephen Miller has done on purpose. What they do is they try to find what they think are legal loopholes and workarounds. Turns out the courts don't agree. Turns out the courts say, hey, you got to fucking stop that. Hey, that's illegal. Hey, that's unconstitutional. But this is Stephen Miller's idea. You arrest them in one state, you move them to another state, and you go, oh, I mean, we're giving you due process, but since you're in another state and your lawyer from that other state can't practice law in this state, I guess that's on you. I guess you're fucked. Like, this is what they're doing. So they are purposely kidnapping people, abducting people, trafficking people. They're purposely saying, you don't get any due process. You don't have any constitutional rights. This is what they're doing. And listen to me. I think every single person who's involved in the deprivation of rights, every person who's taking away constitutional rights, civil rights, human rights from these people, every single one of them needs to be tried and needs to go to prison. They need to be tried and they need to go to prison. This should be treated as no different than a rando knocking down your door and kidnapping or abducting you or one of your kids. It should be treated as no different from some psycho serial killer accountant who's got 7 kids locked in his basement, and when they catch that guy, they'll throw the fucking book at him and he'll go to prison for a long time. This should be viewed as no different than that. I don't care that you have a fucking fake badge. I don't care that you went through 47 days of training because Trump is the 47th president, even though it was originally 6 months and they reduced it. I don't give a fuck about any of that. You are violating the law very clearly. You are violating the law plain as day. How about this one? Vile. If you think ICE couldn't sink any lower, they just did. ICE agents posed as a woman with car trouble. When a dad rushed out of his house to help, agents ambushed him and detained him. They turned human decency into a trap. This is evil and disgusting. There's literally video of this, y'all. Watch.
Don't go. Hey!
There truly is a special place in hell for these people, man. You trap somebody and then use their fucking kindness against them. I mean, I don't even have the words, bro. I don't even have the words to adequately describe these people. 2-month-old baby choking on his own vomit while detained in Dilley. His life is in danger. Representative Joaquin Castro said about Juan Nicholas. This is the one who they sent to the hospital. Then he was released from the hospital. Then he disappeared. Then we found out after the fact they deported a 2-month-old who's deathly sick with bronchitis. Judge Tana Lin ruled ICE medical neglect turned detention into unconstitutional punishment. A Filipino detainee who begged for hospital care for months lost part of his foot after delayed treatment and denied antibiotics. This is one of the things that really, to me, like, you can pound the gavel. This is the nail in the coffin in the sense that these are concentration camps. It's not correct to call them detention facilities. It's not correct to call them jails or prisons or holding centers. These are concentration camps. And one of the main reasons I'm very comfortable saying that is the lack of due process, the lack of constitutional rights, but also the denying of medication, which is not, like, that's not a thing. That's what people need to understand. That's not a thing. Like, in a civilized country, if you get arrested, doesn't matter the surrounding scenario. If you get arrested, you have a right to get the medicine that has been prescribed to you. It is a right. You can't. It doesn't matter if they decide, well, we don't want to do that, or well, we don't like you, or well, I don't like your face, or whatever the fuck it is, or you're acting like an asshole, or you yelled at us. None of that matters. You have a right to get the medicine. You have a right to get the medicine, and they're denying people medicine even when they're fucking desperate and they're begging. Doesn't matter. They don't give them the medicine. These are concentration camps. That's what they are. And at this point, shame on anybody who's not saying that. Shame on anybody who's not calling it what it is. We were told this would never happen. A man in San Diego posed as an ICE agent and grabbed a McDonald's worker by the neck and threatened to deport him. So we've covered stories of people pretending to be ICE agents who grape. We've covered people who pretended to be ICE agents who committed robbery. And now we have this one. Take a look.
Video shows the moment an interaction between a man and the staff at a La Jolla McDonald's turned violent.
He grabbed me from the back, got my neck like really hard. So when that happened, all my coworkers jumped in him and he let go. No! But after that, he just punched me on the side.
By the way, this is also why you can't have a scenario where ICE wears masks. If you're legitimate law enforcement, you cannot wear a mask. You need to have a badge. You need to have your name showing. You need to have a process whereby people can, register complaints. If you're covering your face and you're hiding your identity, you are not law enforcement. And now you've opened the door so that any asshole can, buy something from Amazon that says ICE on it or says immigration enforcement or anything, right? And they throw a mask on or a gaiter on and they could just fucking do whatever and get away with it. They have made this country markedly less safe. They are absolutely destroying any semblance of law and order. It's all gone, and it's all because of them.
Police department said around noon on Thursday, a man asked for the restaurant's manager, then wrapped his arm around his neck, all under the claim that he was an ICE agent.
Why do you think your 911 phone calls aren't working?
Ya no le contesto, nomás que se vaya.
Why do you think I'm willing to take 2 punches in the face with some illegal immigrant while I make an arrest for immigration and customs enforcement?
Police arrested 40-year-old Joshua Cobb for impersonating a police officer and battery.
So look, let's not forget, there are currently over 4,000 people missing because of ICE. We still don't know where they are. They were originally sent to Alligator Alcatraz, which I think we correctly call Alligator Auschwitz. Over 4,000 people are missing because of ICE, okay? We have at least 40 people have died in ICE custody, including one who was maybe lynched. Hands tied, feet tied, found hanging in his cell. We have allegations of slavery at their concentration camps. We have literal criminals joining ICE and a lot of reporting that they basically greenlight anybody who joins. Whether you be a January 6er or a 3%er or an Oath Keeper or a Klansman or a neo-Nazi, it doesn't matter. They're welcoming you in. We have literal video of them assaulting an 84-year-old married couple, shooting a priest in the face with a pepper ball, tear gassing a baby, running over people with cars, tear gassing journalists, tear gassing cops, zip tying naked kids at 2 o'clock in the morning and throwing them in the back of a U-Haul van. We have horror stories of them deporting a guy who was wrongfully imprisoned for 40 years, tackling a 79-year-old car wash owner and hospitalizing him. They've raided schools. They've raided all sorts of workplaces like farms and Home Depots and meatpacking facilities and 7-Elevens. This is unacceptable. All of it is completely and utterly unacceptable. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, and I hope there's somebody listening with some semblance of power, right? I need every lawyer in the country who gives a shit to keep a running tally of all the crimes that they're committing, okay? Because that's going to become super important. If/when we get back in power, it's going to be the day of reckoning will come. And there will be charges, there will be indictments, there will be convictions. There will be people going to prison for a very, very, very long time. But it can only happen if well-meaning people who have studied law are keeping that running tally. I'm telling you, man, if I was president, like the first thing I'd do is call up Jack Smith and be like, you're now attorney general and you need to go ham. You need to go after all of these motherfuckers who committed all these crimes, all these criminal ICE agents, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Elon Musk, Donald Trump. And by the way, I wouldn't even need to say this, right? It'll be an independent agency, as it should be. But Jack Smith knows. He knows. Jack Smith said if I got to actually do my job and finish the case against Trump, he was going to prison. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was going to go. I had him, dead to rights. And so that same guy should do the work of taking down the rest of these people because there's a new category that's rising up, y'all. And I know I've talked about this a number of times, but I'm doing it for a reason. Law and order leftists. That's what's going to happen. Law and order leftists. And this is what you're going to see. Letitia James fits into this category. Jack Smith might fit into this category. But now, I'm sorry, it's the truth. Now, if you actually believe in law, you're a leftist. Like, literally, that's what it is. You look at somebody like Netanyahu committing genocide, live streaming it, and then fucking getting away with it and, like, going and visiting different places, planning new wars. You go, what the fuck? We know he's a criminal. The ICJ, the ICC, all these international bodies are going, bro, where's the question? You have every human rights group in the world going, he did genocide, right? So if you believe in law and you believe that guy should be arrested, you're a leftist. So it's kind of ironic because my whole life it's always been the right-wingers who virtue signal like they're in favor of law and order. And it's the liberals and the leftists who are against law and order. And it's like, nah, bro. We want to prosecute all these assholes on Wall Street who committed these financial crimes which led to the subprime mortgage crisis in the Great Recession. We want to prosecute all of the war criminals, wherever they may be. And we want to prosecute all of these disgusting ICE agents, all of these Doge thugs that illegally hacked into our government agencies and slash programs for Elon Musk, the world's richest man. None of this is acceptable. None of it is acceptable. So I hope they get on that, and I hope they get on it ASAP. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.